having expounded on the path of bondage and the path of liberation in the last two verses. 98. Karma bhav is the path of bondage. Moksha bhav is the path of liberation. Je karan bandhana is the path of bondage. And te karan chedak dasha is the path of liberation. If one wants to attain the state of liberation, one needs to be transformed, refined, improve. કપમાં કચરો હોય તો કેસરવાળી ચા હોય, tea. So it cannot be poured in. જો એમાં કચરો હોય તો. In the same way, જો તમારા ભાવોમાં કચરો હોય, so that state of liberation is not going to get manifested. Tu છો moksha swarup. Your nature is pure, like the liberated souls. But still, you will not attain a state of liberation. You need to be transformed. You need to be refined. You need to be improved. આપણી ધર્મ ક્રિયા જોઈએ તો પ્રાણ વિનાની, no life. So kriya jad we have studied, right? Jad like lifeless mechanical ritual. બધી ક્રિયા એવી નથી પાછી. પાપ રાચી માચીને કરીએ છીએ. The causes of bondage with full life. રાચી પાછ ખાવાની વાત આવે તો you see your instincts. અને ધર્મનું આવે તો આ તો સદગુરુની કૃપા છે કે આ 100મી ગાથા પર પહોંચ્યા and still we are rejoicing. It's His grace, His aura. We are sitting in His electromagnetic field. This is not us. Our book published with us 22nd, 23rd October, I don't know when. ત્યારે લોન્ચ બી થશે, પણ તમને વાંચવા સુદ્ધા મન નહીં થાય. You will buy one copy. I'll autograph it for you. But do you think કે આમ 99 ની ગાથા you will open and હા તે જે કારણ બંધના તે. This is all His grace. કે આપણું શ્રવણ વગેરે પ્રાણવાળું થાય છે, પ્રાણ. See, there is something like Shravan. Shravan means listening, right? Shravan Kriya. It only means listening by your ears. Everyone is listening. So Shravan Kriya, yes. Second is Shravan Kala. બુદ્ધિનો ઉપયોગ કરતા કરતા સાંભળવું. બુદ્ધિનો ઉપયોગ. So I don't think this clapping is without બુદ્ધિનો ઉપયોગ. You understand something? Either it's an addition or a correction in your equations. So the moment you used your brains in listening, while listening, intellectનો ઉપયોગ કર્યો, બુદ્ધિનો ઉપયોગ કર્યો, it becomes Shravan Kala. But the third is most important. Shravan Yog, Shravan Kriya, Shravan Kala, art of listening. Listening, art of listening, and now I'm saying Shravan Yog. આત્માની સાથે જોડી જોડીને સાંભળવું. As if the one who is speaking is a mirror and you are seeing yourself, either your impure state or your pure nature. Whatever. Either you are introspecting or you are meditating. Whatever. પણ આત્મા સાથે જોડીને સાંભળવું is called Shravan Yoga. So you are seeing how we didn't put any conscious effort, but Shravan Kriya turned into Shravan Kala, turned into Shravan Yoga, and we actually didn't even realize કે personalized listening થઈ રહ્યું છે. See, now don't make it a દૂરબીન. દૂરબીનથી બીજું જોવાનું હોય. અપૂર્વમાં આ પ્રોબ્લેમ છે, નેમીમાં આ પ્રોબ્લેમ છે, વિશાલમાં આ પ્રોબ્લેમ છે. એક્ઝેક્ટલી આ મેચ થાય છે આને. સો દેટ દૂરબીન નહીં, દર્પણ, ડીડી. Make your pustak, make your listening a darpan. Darpan means mirror, where you can see yourself, your state or your nature. Not durbin, by which you know કે જો આ મતારથી જાય છે. જો 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 આ મતારથી ગયો. એને ભગવાન મહાવીર વિશે આટલું જ યાદ છે બસ. પંચ કલ્યાણક, કયા કયા કલ્યાણક, નેમી ગેરા. ભગવાનનું ચ્યવન કલ્યાણક, ભગવાન મહાવીરનું ક્ષત્રિય કોણ, જન્મ
ક્ષત્રિય કોણ,
સર કીધું
ક્ષત્રિય કોણ,
ક્ષત્રિય કોણ, દીક્ષા
ક્ષત્રિય કોણ,
કેવલ જ્ઞાન,
રુજુવાલિકા,
નિર્વાણ,
પાવાપુરી.
બસ he knows only this much. ऐसा पता है कि हाँ पेलू खाली जिन देह प्रमाण ने. So he's a proper matarthi. He doesn't know anything else about Bhagavan Mahavir. So this is, I have not given you a durbin, I have given you a darpan to see where you are stuck. With such powerful instruments, still why aren't you progressing? Because you are stuck somewhere. तो धर्म क्रिया प्राण विनानी, life vinani, meaning lifeless, jad. So Prabhu said kriya jad. So it's not for those who are going into upasas and katasana par pratikaman karta ho and they don't know anything, what they're blabbering, nothing. So those are kriya jad. You check yourself. How is your Atma Siddhi? How is your Kshamapna? How is your Devandan? Right? So Pran Vinani Dharma Kriya and Rachi Pachi ne Pap Kriya. So much excitement before doing Pap, so much excitement while doing Pap, and so much discussion after the Pap. Adi khichdi bahut saari. Adi khichdi, અમે ખીચડી ખાધેલી એટલે તમે બી ખીચડી ખાધેલી, ઠીક. તો આજની ખીચડી બહુ આવી હતી. આજની હું કડી પીવાનું જ ભૂલી ગયો, એકલી ખીચડી ખાઈ ગયો. સો મચ ડિસ્કશન આપો તો કોઈ મૂવી જોયું હોય તો એ મૂવી પાછળ કેટલું મીન્સ તને જ ડિરેક્ટર બનાવવો જોઈતો હતો કે કો ડિરેક્ટર. So પાપ રાચી માચીને થાય છે અને ધર્મ પ્રાણ વિનાનો થાય. So who is going to fill that pran? Of course your mumukshutta, but Sadguru's grace. Your mumukshutta is also manifested because of Sadguru Bhakti Satsang, right? So the path of liberation is going to be expounded, further elaborated, Basically, we have understood what is the path of bondage and path of liberation in these two verses. But very beautifully in 100 and 101, the path of liberation is explained so beautifully. Let's go. So, showing the causes resorting to which one advances on the path of bondage, and the causes retiring from which one advances on the path of liberation. This was verse 99. The Guru now says,
राग द्वेष अज्ञान ए मुख्य कर्मनि ग्रंथ थाय निवृत्ति जे हथी तेज मोक्ष नो पंथ.
Rag, Dvesh, meaning attachment and aversion, or simple words, likes and dislikes. Agnan, ignorance. Rag, Dvesh, Agnan is, so attachment, aversion and ignorance, three things. What are they? Mukhya. They are the main principle. Karmani Granth. Karmani Granth. So Granth means, we felt Granth means book, scriptures. No, Granth means knot. Over here, Granth means knot, knots of karmas. Thai nivrutti, withdrawing from them. Jehati, by which you withdraw from them, is the path of liberation. So even in 100, even in 101, the path of liberation, the purpose is to explain the path of liberation in different ways. From 98, path of liberation, 99, path of liberation, because the purpose of the verses from 98 to at least 101 is to show the undisputed path of liberation. So every verse we'll have is the path of liberation. It's obvious. So short meaning, attachment, aversion and ignorance are the main knots of karmas. That by which one recedes from them constitutes the path of liberation, is the path of liberation. So in this verse, the Guru enumerates the reason of our sorrows, misery, bondage, mainly attachment, aversion, ignorance. Each one of them, attachment, aversion and ignorance, each one of them is potent poison. Why? Because it brings with itself desires, expectations, and disappointments, along with the baggage of uncertainty and fear. But mainly three things. What does it bring? Desires. You can relate? From desires stems expectations, and expectation mostly disappointment. Very few times you can say joy, and that too not everlasting joy. Within couple of minutes or couple of hours or couple of days or couple of months, you are in a state of disappointment. Something beautiful in Gujarati. Atul bhai? Apeksha puri karvi, apeksha meaning expectations. Apeksha puri karvi ye bijana hathma chhe. I have some apekshas from Nemi. So it depends on Nemi, right? મારી અપેક્ષા પૂરી થાય, અપેક્ષા પૂરી થવી એ બીજાના હાથમાં છે. નિરપેક્ષ રહેવું એ તમારા હાથમાં છે. To stay without expectations is in your hands. And to fulfill your expectation is in others' hands. But because of this ignorance, desires, expectations, disappointments, with a baggage of uncertainty and fear. So all this creates sorrow, and Bhagavan wants to tell us what is the cause of this sorrow. Because withdrawing from these causes is the path of liberation. Because liberation is bliss. Both excessive likes and excessive dislikes are rooted basically in lack of self-awareness, called ignorance. Excessive likes, excessive dislikes. See, some days go so smooth. You have not changed your routine, but everything is so smooth. Because there are no likes, dislikes. There may be some amount of awareness within you, so that there are no excessive likes and dislikes. So you feel so good. And suddenly one day you feel, "Aaj hu bow down chu." Because of ignorance stems likes and dislikes. Along with unawareness, it becomes excessive likes and dislikes, and that causes sorrow. And with this likes and dislikes, because of lack of self-awareness, man is sucked into a whirlpool deeply and immediately. One thought of disappointment, one feeling, and you are sucked in a whirlpool because a chain of thoughts, and you just can't stop it. You don't want it, but you just can't stop it. Deeply and immediately you are affected by it. તમે આજે આ વિચારો કરો અને એક વર્ષ પછી દુઃખી થાઓ એવું નહીં. તરત ને તરત you can feel your energy is getting drained. So basically in this verse, Param Krupadev is going to show us. See the verse. You have the verse in front of you? રાગ દ્વેષ અજ્ઞાન એ મુખ્ય કર્મની ગ્રંથ, થાય નિવૃત્તિ જેહતી તેજ મોક્ષનો પંથ. So I will start from the second half of the first line. Mukhya karmani granth. I'll explain that first. Then I'll explain rag, dvesh and agnan. Then third I'll explain thai nivrutti. And fourth, I won't explain, because that is the path of liberation. There's nothing to explain. You asked, what is the path of liberation? So, te che path of liberation. So first, I'll be talking about Mukhya Karmani Granth, something about the knots. Which are the three knots? Then I'll be explaining Agnan, Rag, Dvesh. How to withdraw, Thai Nivrutti. And that's it. Verse over. Okay? So, see, understand one thing. Staying under the influence of the deluding karmas or the monia karmas, that is the principal cause of bondage. But being under the influence of these deluding karmas or the mohaniya karma, that is the root cause of bondage. Main cause, you can say. And what are the main constituents of the deluding karmas? Rag, Dvesh and Agna. You don't need to know the 25 types of passions and all. Rag, Dvesh and Agnan means everything. That is the constituent of the deluding karmas. Ena influence matame, you think, you speak, you do anything, any acts. Under the influence of deluding karmas, and you will see so many knots. Because all three are the impure modification of the soul. Rag, Dvesh and Agnan, all three. Because it is under the influence of deluding karmas or monia karmas. It's relatively easy to overcome other karmas which obscure or say obstruct the soul. It is quite easy, but deluding karmas stay tough. Because of the prevalence of these three factors, Rag, Dvesh and Agnan. Because of these three, it stays tough. It's tough. So those are called the main knots of karmas. Ghat. Knot. Ghat. See, everything is smooth when there is no knots. Say you are stitching clothes, sewing. And the thread moves smoothly till there are no knots in it. Even combing your hair. Everything is very smooth. Yesterday it took 1 hour. कि बहुत गूंज થઈ ગઈ, बहुत good થઈ ગઈ. Wow, what an example. I was wanting some example. તો એક કાંચકો અહીંયા લગાવ થઈ ગયું. એક જ વખત આ કરું because there are no knots. Everything is smooth. એનું તો અહીંયાથી 1 ઇંચ જાય નહીં, એટલી બધી knots હોય. મેં કીધું કોઈને બોલાવું તારું આ કાઢી આપવા માટે, તો કે આ કોઈને નહીં આવડે આ. So everything is smooth till there are no knots, you know. You're stitching clothes and the thread is moving, there is no knots, everything is going smooth. Knot and you get stuck there. Till you don't remove the knot or you don't cut the knot, you cannot move ahead. So I'm talking of the knot first. And what is that knot in the spiritual path? Rag, Dvesh and Agnan. So we'll learn that. How to withdraw from it? We'll see. And that is the path of liberation. But anywhere, even in relationships, everything is smooth with your friends. Everything is smooth till there are no knots. Then some incident occurs. There is a misunderstanding. Because of their misunderstanding, there is a grudge or a prejudice or, some type of knot in your head. Then everything is different and tough. You can't just move ahead till you communicate and you remove the knot or cut the knot. Everything, the relationship is strained. Once you communicate, the misunderstanding goes away, the entanglement of the knot and all, everything is clear, and everything is fine. So what does it say? The task of overcoming the karmic bondage could be smooth, all the karmas. It would be smooth if you remove the knots. Which are the 3 knots? Rag, Dvesh and Agnan. Proper knot avi જાય છે. And then you just can't move ahead. You have Vednya karma, Shata Vednya karma, you can't move ahead. Everything is nice around you, but you just don't feel happy. Everything is fine. Health, fine. Wealth, fine. But because of the knot in your head, everything, you are stuck. So in the process of overcoming the karmic bondage, if you have these knots of Rag, Dvesh and Agnan, then your Purusharth gets stuck. You want to do everything except this. You don't want to withdraw from attachments, aversions and ignorance. You want to do anything but this. And so you feel stuck. You did more Maun today. You did more Swadhyay today. You did little more Bhakti today. But you didn't want to remove these knots which are there in your head. And we have knots at a conscious level We have knots at the subconscious level. We have knots in the unconscious level. Just imagine we can't even remove or cut the knots on the conscious level. We need communication. We just can't remove it ourselves. So even on conscious level we cannot do. Imagine the subconscious, which we don't know where and why. And unconscious, collection of past life conditionings and strong habits and instincts. And you just don't know why this is happening. But till you don't remove the knots of Rag, Dvesh and Agnan, you cannot move ahead on the path of liberation. So exactly what should be decreasing in you if you are progressing on the path of liberation? Very clear. No quantity needed, but less of ignorance, less of Rag, less of Dvesh, and you are progressing. All three destroyed, you are liberated. Lose to karo, lose. I'm not saying remove it, I'm just saying make it loose. थोड़ी लूज भी करी दे, कम्युनिकेट करूँ पड़े तो कम्युनिकेट करी दे, फॉरगिव करूँ वो तो फॉरगिव करी दे, पर थोड़ी लूज कर सो एकदम स्ट्रॉन्ग नॉट तो ना हो. And you move ahead. So which are those three? Rag, Dvesh and Agnan. I'll start with Agnan and then take Rag, Dvesh simultaneously. One is like, one is dislike, one is attachment, one is avoidance. So first is Agnan. So now what is Agnan? Very simple. Gnan means knowledge. And means nahi. Nahi knowledge. Meaning no knowledge. So Agnan would be no knowledge, which is a wrong meaning. That is not the Agnan spoken here. You understand? Gnan, knowledge. And suffix, prefix क्यों है? Prefix क्यों है? A means no. So Gnan means knowledge, means no. So Agnan means no knowledge. That is not the meaning here. The meaning here, Agnan means not no knowledge, but wrong or misleading knowledge. You understand? Not no knowledge, because if you are a soul, either you have to have less knowledge or more knowledge, but a soul without knowledge would mean jad. Because Gnan is the attribute which will always remain. So there is Gnan even in a plant, even in a machar, even in Vishal. People are laughing, but this is what Jainism says. In fact, Jainism says he has infinite knowledge, not manifested. There is knowledge in that plant, which is life, soul, it has to have knowledge. Say, least knowledge, say. But it has to have knowledge. One sensed organisms, or five sensed, or someone like Param Krupadev. Knowledge to badha jo, because they have soul. And that's the inherent property of the soul, knowingness. Can you recollect your first pad and knowingness was the in thing that time. Any question asked, if you say knowingness, at least half marks to knowledge. So knowingness to research. The question is, if people understand, ज्ञानावर्णीय वालू ज्ञान के मोहनीय वालू ज्ञानावर्णीय वालू अज्ञान के मोहनीय वालू अज्ञान. You don't need to know that now. It only means કે જ્ઞાનાવર્ણીય વાલું જે અજ્ઞાન છે અને મોહનીય વાલું જે અજ્ઞાન છે, this is wrong knowledge, this is less knowledge. And here we are talking of the mohniya wala agnan. So you can be very, very intelligent and a deluded person. Because જ્ઞાનાવર્ણ્ય less છે. એટલે you are very, very intelligent. You are not an idiot. Your IQ એટલી ઓછી નથી. So you may be very intelligent because જ્ઞાનાવર્ણ્યનો બહુ ક્ષમતા છે. But how much ever knowledge you have, everything is deluded, misleading. Forgotten the true nature, identifying with the non-self, meaning the body, etc., karma bhav. So this is wrong knowledge, and that is ignorance, which is the root cause of transmigration. Not even rag and dvesh, but agnan, the misleading knowledge. Why? Because of this agnan, you identify yourself as a body, meaning body is just an association, but you are identifying it as I. Say I and body. Wonderful body, beautiful body. But I and the body are together. You say, I, the body, and you continue. So the I-ness in the non-self is ignorance, not the my-ness. My-ness will come in Ragvesh. I comes in ignorance. And then what happens? So I'm going to Ragdvesh now. Ignorance you understood. Not Agnan does not mean less knowledge. Agnan means wrong knowledge, misleading knowledge, deluded knowledge. How much ever knowledge you have, very less. But if it's right knowledge, that can lead you to enlightenment and finally to liberation. Lead you. And then infinite knowledge will manifest. So samyak gnan is important. Bahu gnan is not needed. Samyak, how much ever gnan you have, right direction. So it's samyak gnan, not purna gnan, not bahu gnan. So what are you doing? Why are you reading so much? Because you want bahu gnan. But what was expected from you? Whatever knowledge you have, right knowledge with awareness. So Agnan, and now what happens due to Agnan? So say Shiv. So Shiv is the name of the body which is associated with you. You, the soul, the pure, blissful, powerful, peaceful soul, associated with a body which the world calls Shiv. But now you made a mistake. Due to ignorance, you considered I am Shiv. I and Shiv is another thing. That is Bhed Gnan, right Gnan. But you are saying I, the Shiv. Now what will happen? Now I'm talking of Myra. What feeling will arise in you? My sister. And that beautiful red car which used to take me in past life. So what will you say for that? No, it was just a red car. But what are you feeling? My car. Because once you associate I with the body, so my with all the associations around. May it be a lifeless thing like a car, or maybe a person like Myra. But you will say, my sister, my car, my clothes. So what happens? With all the associations, now that my sister or my car, either you like or dislike. So what about your sister? Jahir Machetle is saying, wonderful sister. So feelings of attachment, car, feeling of attachment. Similarly, feelings of aversion. All the people in the dope gang, you will not have attachment. You might have aversion for some people also. Because, okay, fine. So passions arise in you, likes, dislikes, attachment, and aversion. And what does these feelings do? They transmigration cause to root cause ignorance, and because of these feelings of likes and dislikes for persons, situations, objects, what happens? Continues to remain in motion. The wheel of transmigration continues to remain in motion. You understand what Ajnan did to you? And now what? Because of this ignorance, you have the feeling of I-ness in the non-self, then my-ness in what is not yourself, may it be a person or a thing. Then you start believing, I am the doer of the non-self. I enjoy the non-self. Aham, mama, kartutva, bhoktutva in non-self. What is not you? So what does this do? What does ignorance do? What does this false knowledge do? I can do something in the non-self. I can enjoy the non-self. And likes and dislikes stem from this ignorance. And that is the cause of bondage. You got it? These are the knots. Raga, Dvesh and Ajnan are the knots which do not let you move ahead smoothly. Likes, dislikes, and they stem from ignorance. Now, when you attain true knowledge from the Sadguru, you contemplate over it, firm conviction, pure bhavana, awareness, you attain self-realization, you get glimpses of the pure, peaceful, blissful consciousness, which is separate from the body. That is self-realization, and your outlook towards life changes. Your attitude towards everything changes. Your responses also start changing. Responses meaning likes and dislikes. Outlook changes, and with that you don't get intense feelings of likes and dislikes. I'm saying intense. I'm moving ahead. See, even you might taste liquor, chalo, alcohol. And even your friends in college, universities and all day. Is there a difference in it? Tane pan liking jagyu che, and you are doing it. But you are saying, you are aware that you are doing a foolish thing. You are going so low to get excited, to feel that excitement. So that intense likes and dislikes is not there because your ignorance, due to satsangs, your ignorance is, that knot is becoming loose. So even these two knots are becoming loose. You will get feelings of likes and dislikes, but it won't be as strong as others doing the same activity have. You are wearing clothes, you are eating stuff. અમને જો ને હિબ્રુઝ બિબ્રુઝ કાંઈ છે નહીં તો બી જીવે જ છે ને. અમને ખબર પડી કે હિબ્રુઝ જરૂર જ નથી. અમને ખબર પડી. So try to understand, because the the roots, ignorance. Because the roots are uprooted, those intense feelings of likes and dislikes, the strong feelings of likes and dislikes are not there. So you do have knots yet of rag and dvesh, but those knots are not very strong. Loose thati jai chhe. Why? Because you have started working on ignorance. And because you have started working on ignorance, that true knowledge comes to you not as knowledge but as awareness. Awareness rupe aaya kare. You won't recollect the whole lecture of yesterday. But that awareness, what am I doing? Again, I'm trying to, the three things, the desires, expectations, disappointed. I'm going into that cycle. Association che, that is due to karmas. But a association ma desires mane utpann thai che. Then I start expecting, and a expectations fulfill na thai. So that disappointment. Now this is a cycle, then again uncertainty, then fear, and I'm going into this cycle. Awareness, and you say, come on, try to divert your mind. Try to focus on Sadhguru's teachings. Try to focus within. And you make an attempt so those feelings of likes and dislikes don't remain very intense. This is the change with the change of outlook due to the ignorance getting weakened. And then slowly the strong knots of passions become loose knots. You go on loosening it, and gradually the knot is removed. And then everything is smooth. Whenever you have said life is very smooth, meaning you are not getting the passions of likes and dislikes, or say intense passions of likes and dislikes, you have not been harboring since 2-3 days, so everything is going smooth. You feel life is very smooth, life is very good. Because of the lack of intense passions, because the ignorance has started getting weaker, if not totally destroyed. So first one needs to destroy ignorance. Once ignorance goes, then passions also become weak, and finally even the passions are destroyed, and rag, dvesh and agnan. When you work on these three and you see the knots getting removed, you feel everything is going smooth. So finally it is destroyed, and what do you attain? Liberation. You work on your ignorance, ignorance is destroyed, then work on your rag, dvesh, dvesh of course first, then rag, and when all three goes, you become vita rag. You had become Atmagnani, but still there were weak passions though, but there were likes and dislikes. Why? Because you have this strong habit of likes and dislikes. This strong habits was from time. So every time you harbored the feeling of likes and dislikes, there was an impression in your mind. Subconscious, unconscious mind, impression. Next time, when that object or that person comes in front of you, you don't know anything about it, but that impression, because of that conditioning within, because of the knots within, you just start liking that person. Just imagine a boy liking a girl because of the past impressions. And the father of the boy feels, "Avi kya sodhi te? Tane to bahut sari chokri male shiv. Avi kya sodhi?" Because he does not have that impressions of likes. So in the association, you had that impressions of likes of your past births. So you find that person beautiful, and your very father or mother would feel, "Avi kya goti aayo? Chalo, you choose someone of your liking, but Avi." So how is this possible? Same association, both of you are seeing the same face, and still you are getting the feelings of like or dislike. Say like. And someone else has the impression of dislike. So in a joine dislike that person has caused no harm right now to him. But still you just want to avoid that person. That feeling of, so you realize કેટલી likes and dislikes you have regarding people, objects, situations, circumstances, everything. Just imagine થોડું cloudy થઈ જાય અને મને એમ થાય થોડું depressing atmosphere છે. And I get a phone call from Amit Sheth. Wow, બાપા કેટલી wonderful weather છે. And he thinks of bhajiyas and he thinks of masala tea and how to celebrate it. And I'm on the verge of crying. Because such a situation might have occurred in my past life, because of my ignorance, I harbored feeling of likes, dislike. Some negative incident might have happened, and I associate that, and my conditioning says it's depressing. Rainy season is a depressing season. And એને ખરેખર સુગંધ આવે, જેમાં મને વાસ આવે, એને મિટ્ટીની સુગંધ આવે, એને બહુ સરસ લાગે. મને થાય કે પણ સન તો છે ને, એ સરસ કેવી રીતે હોય? So he might have become, એક peacock હોય કોઈ ભવમાં. And he must have danced in this weather, so that impression in his mind is this is a favorable situation. And I have some different impression. So I consider it a most unfavorable. ક્યારે જશે ને? તો કે 3 દિવસ તો આ રહેશે જ. 3 દિવસ પછી it will be like very, very sunny and everything. So you have knots regarding everything. And now you have to remove these knots. Removing the knots is called Nirgrantha Banu. Param Guru Nirgrantha Sarvagna Dev. See the whole path of liberation. You start remove. Nirgranth means without knots. Not only in the dress, in the mind. Your dress without knots, no, it does not mean that. Your dress is not stitched, it does not mean that. Knots in your mind, conscious, subconscious, unconscious. Nirgrantha no pantha, bhava anta no upaya che. And Nirgrantha bani and Sarvagna banu. So that is our Param Guru, who are Nirgrantha and Sarvagna. Param Guru Nirgrantha Sarvagna de. And who are these Param Guru? Who have attained their Sahajatma Swarup, their true nature, which will be spoken of in the next verse. So Param Gurus are those who have experienced, who have realized, who have glimpses of their pure nature, pure, peaceful, blissful, powerful soul. So, because the ignorance is destroyed and the raga, dvesh, the likes and dislikes are too weak, there are, yet he does harbor likes and dislikes, very, very not intense. Very, very awareness swallow, weak. And those knots also are becoming loose. Eventually, gradually, you remove and eventually it gets destroyed and you attain liberation. So this is the path of liberation. By whichever, whatever means you can remove, destroy, cut these knots of raga, dvesh and agnan is the path of liberation, without talking of the attire, without talking of any ritual, without talking of any philosophy or norms or discipline. He says, by whichever, whatever means you can untie or remove or cut the knots of Rag, Dvesh, Agnan. You should see it decreasing within you. I'm not going to see your activity. I'm going to see your Rag, Dvesh and Agnan. You might be keeping maun and you are silent, but you are harboring so much of likes and dislikes which turn into desires, expectations and disappointments. So much. Means if I take maun, I have an expectation that he should understand my ishara. You know? પણ આટલી બધું લાઈક ડિસલાઈક કરો છો તો વોટ ઇઝ ધ પાથ ઓફ લિબરેશન ટુ કીપ મમ or harbor too much of dislike for that person? What is the path of liberation? Either don't expect or don't take maun and speak. But what should be done and what are you doing? You want to do anything and everything but work on untying the knots. So imagine you have knots not only of this birth, of countless past lives. So any new person, say a person next to you in the flight, and you get a feeling of like or a feeling of dislike. And you should understand this is my conditioning of past life, impressions of past life. But now I must see that person as a pure soul. And slowly the feelings of likes and dislikes start getting dissolving, meaning the knots become loose, and then finally, so cutting the knots, removing the knots is the path of liberation. Which knots? Rag, Dvesh, Agnan. That's it.
राग द्वेष अज्ञान ए मुख्य कर्मनी ग्रंथ थाय निवृत्ति जे हथी तेज मोक्ष नो पंथ